Friday night, I want a Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea, Chippy Tea, I want a Chippy Tea. Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry coulis. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights, I want a Chippy Tea.
Welcome to Chippy Tea, episode number 12. 12. A Chippy Tea podcast. What is it? It is just two blokes from up north talking about the previous week. What happened, what we did, what made us happy, what pissed us off, and just general disappearing off at tangents. That's mainly Danny, but sometimes me. So, welcome with me, Tony Palmer from Palm Print, and
Danny Donald from Flipping Sweet.
There we go. No little bit on the
see.
end. I'm going to wait for a little bit on the end then.
From Flipping Sweet Print Co.
Yeah, there you go. Flipping Sweet Print Co.
And my wink. Forgot my wink.
You need to forget your wink a lot more often. So we basically start off. We kick off the episode every week with a lovely little question we'd like to throw to Danny, and you can see him. The longer I talk about it, the more he squirms, anticipating what the hell it's going to be. And it's basically, I quite liked last week's. What have you been printing this week?
What have I been printing? Yeah, well, let me tell you what I've been printing this week. Now you can see my head's working now, so I'm trying to remember. I've been printing. I'll tell you what I did print. This is very unusual for me, and I haven't done this in a long time. Probably a good few years. I printed 100% polyester shirts for a running event. There's a lad doing a run across I can't remember, but he's doing many miles to make some money for charity. Yeah. And they were pure black, 100% polyester, and so it turns out dye block quite hard to get these days. But I found some, yeah. So I looked at the usual suppliers, as you do, and finding a dye block, nobody seems to be selling it. Yeah, well, so I spoke to Mr. Ian, and he tells me he's developed a dye block. So I give it a go, and I printed these black polyester shirts, and they're fantastic. The dye block is absolutely brilliant. It's so smooth and so light to print. Yeah, it's a grey dye block. Yeah. Obviously, now that I've gone to the dark side, I had to find the plastisol dye block. I have printed with the waterbased from... Can I do an M with my fingers? I can't do an M. But anyway, from Magna. And that's equally just as good. But, yeah, I had a fantastic time. And I actually... Usually, if you say to me nylon or polyester or any type of plastic, I shit myself. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I start sweating just looking at the email. I really enjoyed it because I think I achieved something that usually is a pain in the ass, and it was utterly effortless. And now I'm thinking, you know what, I might start doing a bit more of this because it was very enjoyable.
You put on top?
It was just white. So, just dye block grey.
2 whites.
Yeah, 2 whites. Dye block grey.
3 screens.
Yeah. Dye block grey, 2 whites, underbase, highlight. Effortless. No dye bleed whatsoever. It looked beautiful.
The only thing I do different with that is I'll cut the grey base with some low bleed white to make it easier to print.
That's a good idea, yeah. Because
then you do 25-75 is probably about right. And some of the grey blockers are really dark, and if you're doing like a yellow, you need 2 whites and then a yellow on top. So we're down to 4 screens now. So if I dropped a little bit of low bleed, it's got to be low bleed white, into the grey blocker and cut it back a little bit, what you can get is an underbase that doesn't need another top white on it to put before you put like a yellow or a red on there. Because I can always see a yellow on a black shirt. I can always see if it's just got only grey underneath it.
Yeah, you can.
Dull.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing.
Unless you do the cheat of flash it twice, which you shouldn't do.
You're fortunate you can go forwards and backwards with your press. We can only go one way on it.
Yeah, but you always want to avoid that. You want to, the idea of screen printing is to produce the brightest, most opaque print you can in the minimum amount of print passes. Yeah. And if you're having to go back and forth, flash print, just to get a solid opaque image, there's something wrong in the setup, as Tony would tell me.
Okay, so it's almost like something I'd say. I think I'm having an effect on you.
I know, we've been doing these too long.
I know, yeah. I'm starting to actually infiltrate your brain a little bit there. Being sponsored by energy drink this week.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that. So let me just try that again.
But with the label facing. There you go. Look.
Oh, aye, that's lovely. That's smashing. You got to try that.
I think we just
10%
lost
off.
that.
Use this code.
On your gob.
Oh dear. So what about you, Tony? What now? So I've just told you about having printing dye block. I actually saw that you've been using a bit of dye block. Isn't that coincidental?
That was only yesterday, yeah, but mine was water-based.
Yeah.
It was a water-based one. I didn't cut that back. I don't really advise cutting that one back.
No.
Because mainly we'd use it underneath the white rather than underneath the colour. So 2 whites would be standard anyway.
Yeah.
I have been to fashion places that print for fashion and sports brands, and they'll use one of those, 2 of those. So dye block, flash, dye block.
Right.
Then flash, then white, then flash, then white, then flash, then white, then flash, then white, then flash. So
yeah.
six screens in total, 2 of which are dye block.
Right.
And this is a panic, a scare thing. They're so frightened to death of these finished products which have a high value turning grey in 2 days rather than at the time.
Yeah.
When they're in the box outside on the dock and the temperature's plus 40.
Yeah.
And they don't want that process to start. So I always say with dye, and we've covered what causes this, haven't we? Have we?
What causes dye migration?
Yeah.
I don't think we have touched on it. I don't think we've ever brought it up. I might be wrong.
So I'm not a scientist in any way, shape or form, but the way that I describe and understand it, and the massive disclaimer at the beginning is, I might be wrong, but it works for me. So screw you. The way I understand it, what is the dye migration? People call it sublimation, migration, all sorts of things. Sublimation's a good word because when something sublimes, it changes state. It changes from a liquid to a gas. So you remember back at school when you used to use that word?
I didn't go to school.
Just nodding, no, yeah. So what happens is, I can start talking normal now, can't I?
Yeah, you can
I'm
crack on now.
back in England now. What happens is the dye that they use to colour polyester is different to the dye that they use to colour cotton. That's because cotton accepts water and polyester is hydrophobic. It repels water.
Ooh.
So it has to be a different dye. Now, the only dye that they can get that works well and actually absorbs into this polyester thread, which is basically plastic.
Yeah.
The only thing that can get to colour it is thermically unstable. It's unstable at certain temperatures. So when it gets to around about 140 degrees, polyester dye, not the polyester dye gets pissed off.
Right.
It gets really annoyed and starts to fuck off upwards. It changes state from being a liquid dye into a gas of the same colour. So, no problem at all if we just take a polyester shirt, we put it through a dryer at 160, it gets the temperature up, when it gets to 140, some of that dye gets pissed off, turns into a gas, and just disappears into the atmosphere. No problem. Nobody ever notices.
Right.
Now, what we do is we take a solvent-based paste and we stick it on top of the polyester. So now what happens is when this dye is released, this gas is released, it jumps onto the first thing that's there. Well, the closest thing that's there is our layer of ink. And I like to think of our layer of ink as a bunch of drinking straws all stuffed together like that. And what happens is the gas starts to run up the drinking straws. Now, it's our job to stop the gas from coming out the top of the drinking straws. If we can stop it here in the middle, perfect. We never see it. Great.
Yeah.
If we can stop it at the bottom, even better. We're pretty much guaranteed. If we don't do anything, it comes out the top and it's game over. But that process begins and is kick-started. The catalyst is heat. So we've got 3 distinct methods of stopping it. That if you've got a glazed look in your eye, if I start to get boring.
Oh, I'm enjoying this. No. Let's not calling you Brian Cox.
We've got 3 distinct methods of attack. One of them is heat management. So we can... My dog's going to be a pain in the ass, I just know he is.
Well, we did say we were going to get guests on.
Yeah. Jack might be the first guest. The first method is heat management. So we know that the polyester gets pissed off at 140. But normal plastisol, we need 160 to cure it. So we're screwed. What we can do is put an additive in the plastisol so that it cures and sticks to the garment before it
You
reaches
know what? The
us.
plastisol.
Plastisol.
You have been away too long, you. Bloody no.
Plastisol. So when the... You little arsehole.
I'm sorry.
You little arsehole.
Oh, sorry. So when do you
I have to go take something off the dog that he's stolen.
Science lesson will resume in a minute. Sorry, it's my fault.
You little shit.
Oh, there's a yellow. I think, unless it's a she.
He. You little arsehole.
So what we'll have to do is, next episode, you have Dog Veer, and I'll have Steven Seagal here. My shoulder.
I quite like your Steven Seagal.
It was
So
a
where
bit,
were we? Heat management. So
Heat management, that's it.
if we can add something to the ink to make sure that it cures below the temperature the polyester gets pissed off, that's great. So that's your low cure additives. Some of the new plastisols that are coming around are curing quite low, 120, 130.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the dryer, we have small stacks of 5. We never put them all together. We let them cool. As soon as the heat's gone,
That's a good point.
usually the process is finished. So the quicker we cool them down, because the heat's the catalyst that keeps it going. As soon as we cool them down, we're done.
For better, yeah.
Then we've got chemical warfare. So chemical warfare is the introduction of specialist dye blockers. They're in 2 categories. So we've got dye blockers in the old original... I don't know if they ever bought polyester ink, athletic ink, I think they used to call it.
I think I tried it a lot of years ago.
It was
stiff. Super
it's
thick.
sticky.
Yeah.
It's what they used to put on the back of the athletic jerseys before anybody invented grey base.
Real difficult to push through.
It's really heavily concentrated in dye blockers, so the chemical stuff that they put in there, which slows down the process of this gas up the straws.
Yeah.
It doesn't block it, it just slows it down. Basically makes it so thick that it takes so long to get up there that
it basically don't reach the top.
By the time the shirt's cold, they haven't got to the top and we can't see.
Right.
Then we've got the full-on chemical warfare, which is... It's hard saying this out loud because I'm probably wrong, but it works in my head. So I like to think of why is it grey? Well, the only thing I can remember that stops a gas from moving up a tube is the old odour eaters.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So they've got there's a charcoal filter.
Do you reckon?
So I reckon there's some, and I tell people it's charcoal, and I'm probably so wrong. So I'm sorry for all the ink people out there and the chemists out there.
Some sort of carbon.
But it's some sort of carbon that slows down the process of this gas.
Oh, cool.
So what we've got then is we've got a solid block across the tubes.
Yeah.
It can't climb up. There's nothing it can do. We've stopped it almost at the bottom.
It's an actual physical barrier.
A physical block, a physical barrier.
Right.
And so they're the sort of 3 main ways. So if you wanna try and maybe gamble a little, then we're going to use an ink with a high dye blocker concentrate. So low bleed has dye blockers in it, but not as many as the athletics.
No.
Because we want to make it printable. We want to make it affordable. We want to make it so it doesn't smell like old fish. and it basically, it's a halfway point. So for me, that's good for blends, 50-50 stuff.
Yeah, right.
So the low bleed for 50-50 stuff, because it's got a little bit of those dye blockers. It's got no charcoal in it, but it's got some stuff that slows down the process, and it's optically bright.
Yeah.
And then we've got the actual full charcoal stuff, which is a grey in appearance. Probably carbon.
Yeah,
Carbon's probably a better word than charcoal.
You see, I've even seen now. I can't do that shape. That's supposed to be an M. They have a black.
They're fine.
They have a black. They have a black block now. It looks like a pure black. Right.
That's what I was using.
Is it not a hindrance? Because now you've got this black layer that when you put white on top, you must have to put a couple of screens on top. Surely the darker the block, the worse it is. I mean, if you're printing on black, it doesn't really matter. You're getting the same effect anyway.
And this is the thing. Most of the time, we're printing on black with two whites.
Yeah. Right,
so all we've done is introduce it to the screen.
Right.
So the greyness of it is to try and get away with one screen.
Yeah.
So if you're printing yellow, they want you to put a light grey down, which is got the carbon blocking abilities of the dye blocking of the carbon, but it's got some white in it as well. So almost my idea of cutting it, I think, comes from them. When these first came out, they were thick, sticky, dark greys, sort of like a cool grey 9. Now they're like cool grey 1.
Yeah.
They're going the other way. That's probably.
I suppose if you print in, I suppose what really matters is what colour garment you're printing. The lighter the garment, the more you can cut your dye block. Essentially, you can lighten it down a bit.
I would go the other way. I would say it depends what colour you're printing on top.
Right. So
if you're printing a white on top, you can afford to put a black there.
Right.
If you're putting a red there, you want a grey. And if you're putting a yellow there, you want a really light grey.
Right.
Because you can see through the top colour a little bit. Don't forget your top colour's going down on maybe, like a 77 or a 90 mesh to keep it nice and clean. Certainly if it's getting picked off by something else.
Yeah. Because it's not something I get asked for anyway, and it's something that I would almost actively discourage. I think we probably have turned polyester jobs down in past when we're super busy, and I just think, I ain't got time to really get on with this because it's just not part of our process. I don't have the inks out there, and it's just not something I do. Well, I took this job on, and in fact, I actually did 2 jobs. Yeah, I did 2 jobs actually. So one of them was just black polyester, white print, super simple. The other job I did was a mix, so it was like bright yellow, bright orange, green, blue, purple, black, the whole range. And I must admit, on that job, the bright orange was the trickiest because the dye migration on the bright orange, for some reason, would show through, whereas other garments it didn't happen. So the orange I had to do a bit of playing about. So I like you mentioned earlier, I put two layers of dye block on the orange in particular. Yeah. All the other tops totally fine, but just that safety orange, high vis safety orange. I don't know why it just seems to bleed like a pig. So I had to dye block that bugger twice. But yeah, interesting. But I've never put together the idea that you can lighten your dye block depending on what. See, I would have thought lighter garments, lighter dye block because it doesn't need. But no, it's your same print colour.
Yeah, if your red is good and you don't see anything poking out, then it's fine. And don't be tempted to cut the dye blocker more than the white because then you get a ridge around the outside.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
So make the dye blocker exactly the same as the base white or the top white.
So what about this idea? Would you combine a 2-phase attack dye block and low cure ink on top?
100%,
right.
Every time.
Right.
I'd never not use anything other than low bleed.
Because
you still want those dye blockers because we're stopping the dye, stopping the gas coming up the tubes. Perfect, but there's also a little bit of gas around, and we don't want that. And certainly when we're stacking shirts, we're getting gas coming out the back of the shirt, so we don't want big stacks. I mean, I'm sure you've printed a job on Monday, 3:00. You put it in the box, you boxed it all up, and then Tuesday morning you come in, you put your hand in that box, it's still warm.
Yeah.
Well, that process is what we need to kill. We need to hit that heat and really cool it down. I've had airlines at the end of the dryer. I've had fans at the end of the dryer. I've had chest freezers at the end of the dryer. Anything to just cool it down and stop that process immediately.
I've never considered that aspect of speeding up the cooling down process at the end of the dryer. If I go into polyester and more, if I start to offer it more and start to encourage it a little bit, because I think I will, because I quite enjoyed it. Maybe
it's a lovely smooth surface to print on.
It looks fantastic, doesn't it?
That's the downside. If it was an arsehole of a surface to print on, people would probably not print on it. But number one, it's become the most popular material to print onto, with athletic wear, stretch wear, all this stuff. I worked for a big sportswear company out in the Middle East, and they were not really, I won't say were not allowed. It wasn't encouraged for them to produce cotton products. So if they produced a cotton product, they couldn't sell it into the USA because the tariffs to protect the USA cotton market were so high. So, the protectionism of the USA is, look, if we want cotton products, we'll make them ourselves. Thank you very much. We don't need to buy yours. Yeah. You can sell them here, but there's an extra 5% charge on it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that left them with the option of, right, we'll make the polyester stuff and put it into you. Yeah, that's fine. We've got no homemade polyester market. So if you want to make it, if you want to sell it in the US, it has to have no cotton content.
Interesting.
So that's where the polyester became popular for the sportswear companies. And if we're going to make a top, it's better to make it 100% polyester, and then we don't have the tariffs when we're going into countries with restrictive tariffs on them.
Interesting.
I did.
So have we ticked that one off? Have we ticked that one off?
No.
Damn.
I think we've put an exit on against it. We haven't put
right.
We had to protect it with some solid armour that goes underneath.
All right, yeah, I'm with you. Goes underneath, yeah. I'm with you. Oh God,
like our base, an armour that goes underneath.
Yeah. We do get asked to print that every now and again. You get a lot of start-up personal trainers, and they're like, right, I'm going to start a fitness brand. Yeah. The first thing they say is, can you print that Under Armour, basically? And yeah, that's one way I'm just like, no, mate, I can't. No. Not even going to try.
No.
Sod that. Anything with an element of stretch. I've been brave this week, and I've dared to venture and print polyester. But when you add that stretch element, if I could do one, I'm not doing it.
So all of their print, every single bit, is from our friends at Magna.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be honest,
all that stretch, that waterbased, it stretches like that. It's lovely.
Yeah. It's amazing how many big sport brands use that stuff. I've seen it.
Well, they don't like plastisol. Plastisol's become the problem child of the industry, even though it's so easy to use, tough, durable, stretchy, and all that. It is a problem child that nobody likes to talk about. But I think I still stand by the fact that we're heading towards a universal ink that we just happen to clean up with water. I think that's what we're aiming for. And the word plastisol is just going to disappear, but the ink itself will still exist.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's going to have a name change.
Yeah, it's going to have a name change. UV, Chippy Tee UV.
LED. Chippy Tee LED, yeah.
That was it, LED. Yeah. To bring the mood down slightly,
okay,
let's touch on a situation that happened this week for me that has rather pissed me off. So, we don't send shirts internationally. I never have done, because it's just not worth the hassle. Or I should say very rarely. I have done in the past, and I always regret it. And I brought my own rule this week. And we had a customer in France who asked for some shirts printing for an event that took place yesterday. So we sent them out, plenty of time.
I'm already worried, internationally and an event.
Yeah, well, we sent them out in plenty of time. They got Picked up, landed at customs, and guess what they did with them? They fucking kept hold of them.
Yeah.
Didn't clear them, kept hold of them. We've been going back and forth. I said this week. It's actually been going on a couple of weeks now.
Mm.
Back and forth. They've told me we didn't put the forms in correctly, or we've missed off a code or whatever, and we didn't. I blatantly did it. And not only did I do it, I put the forms in the box, and then I taped them on top in a clear bag, a documents enclosed envelope. So just to be double safe, I thought, right, I'm not taking any chances. And of course, they're stuck there. The customer ain't got the shirts. Everybody's pissed off with me. Yeah. The event's gone. And I'm the sucker who has to deal with it.
Well, so you have to pick up the bill, don't you?
It's always me, yeah. But that's just the way it is. But
do we get? Are we going down the political route with this? Is this
I know. Because... Well, I thought, fuck Brexit. That's all I'm saying.
So, what are your views then?
No, let's not go there. I can't do. But there's not
France,
much.
If we go back a couple of years, that would have been like posting to Hull.
Oh, it was a doddle, wasn't it? But
it would have been just like posting it to Hull, and now it's like posting it to Uzbekistan now.
Oh, it is the only issue. So going back to the old days of selling individual personalised shirts, we sent so much worldwide, and the only place we ever had any bother would be America, basically getting stuff to the States, and that was mainly just because it just took a long time. It'd always get there. It just quite often would take longer than was sort of promised to you. You know, you pay it, say, right, well, we'll get it to there in a week or whatever. But getting stuff across Europe, absolute doddle. Even we sent stuff out to. I think the most bizarre place we ever sent was the Gaza Strip. No bother, whatever. Sent some shirts to Gaza Strip. Got there, fine.
What did it say? My house got bombed, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Lousy T-shirt. I can't remember, honestly. I honestly can't remember. I just specifically remember looking about and thinking, well, that's bizarre. Yeah, but so that is probably the last time I sent anything international, like back in those days. And then I thought I'd do this parcel this week or last week, whatever. And so they got off at road. I could have flipping swum it there, and it's not turned up. So.
No. I think we might have shot ourselves in the foot. I think as we go further along, we're going to realise we've shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. But...
Yeah, there's not a lot of it's off limits for me, but even on like a social media side, I just avoid any type of like political talk or I don't know anything like that, because you see a lot of businesses do it, and they do it to their advantage.
I think we have agreed never to ever speak about F1.
Well, you just brought it up, haven't you? I mean, I could rub last week in your face, but I won't. I'm a decent person.
Well done. Congratulations.
Sorry, more to come.
We did throw out a little Instagram post. Well, you did, and I copied it and pasted it.
All right, yeah.
Of some questions.
Right.
And I got a couple. And we've skirted around. Don't look so upset because you didn't get any. I can see that little hurt in your eyes. One of them we've already skirted around. So I told you I was printing in a foreign country, and one of the questions I got asked was, "What's the worst thing you've seen in a print shop you visited?"
All right, interesting.
The worst thing, and this took me a while because I'm thinking, piles of radioactive waste or something like that. And actually, it comes
somebody
back to
pushing.
Walked in this print shop in Hull, in Brid, and there's this guy pushing a squeegee away from himself. What the hell were he doing? Did he not know what these things were made for? They're not made to push; they're made to pull. So it is about squeegees. It was all about squeegees. This place had 2 12-colour presses. So by default, the minimum amount of squeegees they should have had would have been 24. Then we add in 3 different sizes. 3 different sizes could be small, medium, and large. So we're looking at maybe 70 squeegees at least, and then
Yeah,
if you try and throw in hard, medium, and soft, then we should have a good selection of squeegees here.
Yeah.
I took a picture of these. I basically said, that squeegee's a bit bad. Bring me another one. And they brought me another one. I went, that one's bad as well. Bring me another. All right, stop. Bring me all the squeegees you have in this building. This building is 25,000 square foot. I've got 2 fantastically technologically advanced oval pressers. Bring me all these squeegees. I laid them all on the floor. I've never seen anything so bad in all my life. They were bent. They're all banana shaped.
Yeah.
Some started off this big and been cut that big, but cut on one side, so the central mounting here, and then cut down to this one side. Because it doesn't fit. Give me a hacksaw, I'll make it fit. There was no jet wash in the building, so the squeegees had never been cleaned with any sort of power. All they'd done is wipe down with a wet rag.
And you could see the stains and stuff.
That rag was polyester, so again hydrophobic. So it was about as much
basically
as
smeared
a
it around.
fire guard. All we did was move it. Yeah, Izal. Yeah, all we did was move it round. It didn't wipe it. It just moved it.
I knew that was coming.
I think I should be sponsored by Izal.
Yeah. Well, it's about time we start picking some sponsorships up.
So that's probably the worst thing I've seen in what is a multi-billion-pound global company. Not investing in the squeegees because nobody told them. Lack of information, lack of education, the obsession of saving money.
Surely, it's just common sense. Like you don't go around telling people to put one foot forward and then another and another. Like how more obvious can it get? I mean, and surely you can see it when you're printing. Well, in fact, I don't even have to say surely. You can see it when you're printing. If you're printing with a crappy squeegee, it looks shit. You won't be able to push it through.
They found life so difficult.
So they paid you to tell them they've got shit squeegees.
Yeah.
They must have been like, oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Basically,
yeah. I think I'm trying to think of worse things. So that was number 1. Number 2 was screens with 7 newtons of tension.
Oh God, yeah.
7, freshly stretched. And when I went to go see, why is it so low? Have you got a machine? Yeah, we got a machine.
I could be really cool now. I say we've got it from, but I won't say it.
So these were stretched in house. So I went to go see the guy stretching the screens. I went, look, there's something wrong here. What? Show me what you're doing. You've got a machine that stretches them? Yeah. We do it by hand. It's sort of like we clamp it in and spin it round, open this table up. So all right, but the clamp's broken, so I just pull it by hand.
Oh, Philip
And what?
Yeah.
So they're probably 2 of the worst things I've seen in print shops from a technical point of view. From a personal point of view, I think probably the worst thing I saw was a manager, get verbally abused, which led to a physical abuse for not performing a task. And it was very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I bet. To be stood
to
there.
watch, even though it was part of the culture. It was very difficult to...
Part of the culture?
To see.
Right.
Look, we don't all live in Brid, where everything's
I'm going to say, so
this was a foreign country.
This was international. Interesting.
Yeah. It's because in that country, they're still stuck in the 1980s where it was quite acceptable. This is what you do. And you have to do this to get people to work for you and to respect you, which is, as we know, is total bollocks. But
of course. It must have been so uncomfortable to just... Because, like you say, because it's almost part of the culture still, you can't just be like, whoa, what are you playing at? You have to almost just not go along with it, but you just have to stand back and let it happen, I guess.
I did voice my concerns. I did raise it. I did take it to another level. But at the time, I didn't really have any option, because it's a room full of 15 people. It wasn't done secretly, quietly. It was done on purpose to instill some sort of respect. It wasn't somebody losing control. It was
No,
done
no,
on
it's totally
purpose.
controlled.
I'm going to have to press pause. I'm sorry, but my dog's
Go
a pain
on.
in the ass.
It's the most disjointed episode we've done.
He needs to sneeze a piss, that's all.
I've just got monster in my eye.
Right, that what DPD guy?
Right.
It was DPG.
DPG.
Dog piss in the garden.
Right. That's a good one. That's a good one. What I'm going to do then, just to be really kind, I'm going to edit mine out so it looks like I didn't go anywhere, and then I'm going to put yours in and
You're
say
a
how
dick.
bloody disruptive you've been.
You're a dick.
Nah, what I can do. I won't be
So, my question was worst things I've seen in a print shop, and I think
right, yeah,
for
we
me,
went on a right tangent there, didn't we?
yeah, for me, one of them was the technical aspect of it being just so low quality, and the other one was the sort of like the mistreatment of staff.
Right.
So, bit of a downer. You've not been to many print shops, so it probably doesn't apply to you. And then the other one would be random question and really open. So I'm going to see if you can answer it first, because
Right.
you've got a different approach to me.
Right.
And the question is, what's the best way to print water-based?
The best way to print waterbase?
Yeah.
That's a big question. There's that many aspects.
It's huge,
to it.
isn't it? Yeah.
What's the best way to print waterbase? Shitload of ink in your screen. Well, first of all, let's start with step one. Make sure your screens are exposed properly. So what I mean by that is they need to be stored in a temperature-controlled room with humidity at 50%, because I remember you were telling me 50% specifically.
I stole that from someone else, but yeah, you're right.
I just basically stick in a couple of dehumidifiers. I keep water out of the room. I keep it as dry as possible. Whether it's 50% or not, I don't know. But I guess now we know, aim for 50%. Make sure they're exposed with so like you said, power washing them out, and you're taking off a layer of the emulsion. So like none of that. I recommend dipping it, and then you can use a garden hose, and it'll literally just fall off. You could probably literally just go and blow the image out if you really wanted to.
I've had such an effect on you.
Yeah, we've been doing this a bit long now, haven't we? So first things first, nail that screen room. That's the priority, because if you get to press and your emulsion is absorbing that ink and the image is chipping away, that's your first headache, and that was always the biggest headache I had. When you get to press, use good solid tape. So I had this conversation yesterday actually with Unicorn Screen Print from Denmark. He's a great guy. He's a real nice bloke to talk to. And about different tapes. So now I'm going on a tangent about tapes. You can get the PMI split tape, for example, the white with the little blue strips. Me and him both find, especially when you're printing water-based, you get it under the lip, under the seal of the, if you're pulling your ink, it can catch that tape and find its way under.
Yeah.
So I like to use PMI Duo tape, and it's clear, and it's got a tiny little blue strip at the top. That stuff's just far more adhesive. And
do you know why it's got a little blue strip on it?
No idea.
It's so that you can peel it off quicker.
Is that what it is?
Take it off, you've got an edge you can pick up.
Just peel it off. That's what I use. It's fantastic. I prefer that also because the sides of the screen, the aluminium. I always find, even though the split tape that's white and blue, it's designed so that you've got half that sits against the aluminium, and it's not really supposed to adhere to it. So you don't get any staining, you don't leave any adhesive, any of that. Bollocks. It definitely does. And it leaves a load of blue bleeding lines across your screen, which you then have to scrub off and power wash. Yeah. So I prefer the method of just no tape, because it cleans easy. I don't think it's hard to get off. If you're cleaning your screens properly, you're going to get it off anyway.
Plus you're on manual. So
so that probably changes things.
So you're using less ink. So you're not
That's
sticking shitloads of ink in. And you are in control of the squeegee, where it goes, where it starts, where it stops, where you put it. So you're not going to scrape in around the edges and shove ink underneath where the glue is. So that's one advantage.
Yeah, and then I guess, so we've got it on press, taped up. tons of ink, plenty of water-based ink. I don't know of a specific amount, but when you're flooding water-based, you need a good layer. You don't want to be able to see no image. If I'm printing plastisol, and I flood, you can sometimes see the image. You don't want to see that because by the time you get back round to it, it's probably dried in. Always have a spray bottle on hand. I've seen a lot of people using foggers, which I'm sure doesn't hurt.
I'm building a fogger.
I've tried to build one in the past, and it doesn't really.
I've got all the bits here to build one because I've seen so many out there.
And you want to try it,
how
see if it works.
expensive they are, and so I know exactly which boxes to buy on.
Yeah,
and the rest of it's just plumbing. It's just that I don't have any time.
But
I've got everything here ready to do it so that it fits on the specific sort of MHM type of machine, and it just automatically just keeps throwing fog in there.
Chippy Tea Mist Fogger coming.
Chippy Tea foggers
to you soon. And then other than that, is there anything particularly? Mesh counts. I've never gone out my way to change my mesh counts too much, if I'm honest. Underbase on 42s. This is a whole other topic. No, let's not go there. Let's not go on a tangent. I'm going to note that down for later. I've never really particularly gone. So would you recommend going up a notch or going down a notch?
Usually down, as low as the design will allow, but I still stick to the 43 underbase. Or 42, as you said it.
Yeah, I always get 3 and 2. I always say 42, but it's 43, isn't it?
43. So 43 underbase, 90s on the top, 77 on the last colour. If it's a bright colour, another 43 if it's top white. So
why 77 on the last colour?
If it's like a yellow or something that needs to be opaque, I'm allowed to drop the mesh count because nothing else is going on top.
That makes sense, right? I never thought of that.
So rather than all 90s, say if there's no top white in there and it's just all colours like red, green, blue and everything, then I'd pick the brightest colour in the design and drop the mesh count on that and print it last.
Right. Oh, I've never considered that.
I don't want a big open area early on in the print order because it'll start to stick. And I don't want an open mesh count early on in the print order for the same reason. It'll start to pick off.
Right.
So for me, but that's pretty much the same as plastisol. So for me, the mesh counts don't really change. Coating technique. I really love a big thick stencil on an underbase. EOM confuses the hell out of me. I use my fingernail. If I can feel a ridge, it's good. Now, on water-based, that can be counterproductive. If we have too thick a stencil on water-based, it can encourage the edges to close in and dry in.
Oh,
this is because there is more ink and it leaves a tiny amount around the edge, which we wouldn't normally see on plastisol. It'd clear out on the next print. But because it's water-based, it's slowly drying in around that edge. So where I would always go 2 and 1 on coating technique on a 43 to give that good gasket, that good lip of ink. If we go too far on that, then on water-based, it can encourage the edges to close in, certainly on long runs.
You have the opposite problem of plastisol with water-based. So with plastisol, you have the issue of dot gain, which you have to combat. Whereas water-based, well, I don't know if you'd use the word dot loss. Like you say, your dots will close in on themselves, whereas plastisol will open up. Yeah. So that's another thing you've got to combat when you go from plastisol to water-based. Yeah.
So it was a wide question, saying
very
best
big
way
question.
to, but I think we've covered it a little bit now.
Those are the things that popped to mind that I ever did differently.
So what I'm saying now to people who want to experience water-based, get into water-based, they don't want to switch it. They don't want to open the back door and throw all the plastisol away. And they don't really care about the turtles and dolphins. But they want to explore what's happening in the industry with this water-based crap that everybody's talking about. And my advice is dead simple. just buy the water-based white, the HSA white.
Try
Don't buy the mixing kit. Don't buy all the bases. Don't get confused with all that shite. Just buy a HSA white and swap it for your plastisol.
Yeah.
So, white flash white, HSA, white flash white. The best, cleanest, most retail feel white you'll ever get.
Hands down.
So don't be so obsessed with changing the rules on plastisol, and just it's not that bad. Change the white.
No.
Once you get used to using a white flash white with the cleanup, the emulsion, the pressure because it's less pressure. And all these different angles, you become more comfortable, and it's no longer that, God, I've got water-based in, nobody talk to me for 2 hours. Don't come near me, shut the door, lock the door, pull the blinds down, tell everybody I'm not in, take the phone off the hook, I'm pretty water-based. So, for me, my advice is absolutely everything you said. There's nothing I can add to it or take away. I agree 100%. And start with just white.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip, actually. I can relate in my situation as well. That's exactly what I did. HSA white. First thing I bought, and I think I bought it off you actually, was a bucket of HSA white. That lived in shop for
2016.
Oh, yeah, it was a long time ago. I've been printing water-based for a while.
Can we drop the bombshell yet that we've never actually met?
We've only dropped it about 7 times every episode.
Is it? All right, okay.
Apart from number 3.
We don't talk about number 3.
Well, when you come back from Mexico, we're going to get a Guinness, a bottle of blackcurrant, and we're going to sit and have a...
We'll have a lager and tomato juice.
In person. We'll have a catch-up, share a Guinness, and we might as well record a podcast at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, so water-based white, can thoroughly recommend that as a starting point. And even if it's just literally your white on dark garment jobs, any of those single colour jobs come in, water-based white, you won't go back, unless you're me who did go back. You won't go back. And to be honest, actually, I'm sort of going back on my own. But everything I've just told you for the past 11 episodes, I'm starting to turn back. There's a bucket of water-based white might be about to turn up. I say bucket, I mean barrel, I should say.
And because the white flash white is far superior. And
it is, yeah.
Now you do something I don't do.
Do not recommend.
You put it underneath plastisol.
So yeah, so when I said I'm about to go back on everything I've said, this is a route I'm probably going in. Barrel of white, HSA, white, the only white I'll print, HSA white, and I will put plastisol on top, and I'll do a hybrid print style. And if I tell Magnavis, if I tell Virus, if I tell Tony Palmer, if I tell most people, they'll say, "What are you playing it? You can't do it. It won't work. It's dangerous. It might wash off." Well, I'm telling you, no, I'm not, because I've got to be careful. I make it work because I don't want to encourage
in your conditions. In your conditions,
reason, whatever
works.
I do, it works.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do it. I'm not recommending anybody do it.
There has to be some sort of chemical thing there with plastisol sticking to water-based. I think that's the risk that the water-based companies just won't take that gamble. But
no, because
it takes a maverick like yourself to sort of like
that's it. A maverick.
A maverick, a print maverick. To give it a test and try it in the real world for a couple of years, because we're going back 2 or 3 years, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it still work and everything would be good with it. So
I've got shirts in my wardrobe. So flipping sweet shirts that have been printed, water-based, all plastisol, hybrid, water-based with plastisol on top. This is what I'm going to call it, hybrid.
FS hybrid.
Guess which ones in that wardrobe look the best to this day after years of abuse. And honestly, I abuse shirts. My shirts, like the shirt I'm wearing underneath here, the t-shirt, there's holes in both armpits. The print's still there because I wear an handful of shirts all the time. When it's cold, they go through dryer, So they've been cured about 50,000 times.
Well, that might be the key.
Maybe that's the trick. Shit.
Maybe that's the
shot myself in
key.
foot.
Yeah. I think we've just found out why your shirts don't wash off. They've been thermonuclear cured.
Yeah. Well, no, to be fair, to back myself up, there's customers that I've had, and multiple customers have because I've always used that catchphrase, the shirt will fall to bits before my print does.
Yeah.
And as long as I tick all the boxes and get everything right here, I will stand by that. Even top quality shirts, I've had top quality shirts from premium brands that have started to, like little holes have started to appear, or whatever, they've just started to fall to bits. But the print is still very solid, and I stand by that.
Basically spent 10 weeks preaching to the world that plastisol's good and that water-based is bad, and now you're just saying, you know what, I think I was wrong. I'm going back to water-based.
No, I'm not. I'm compromising. I want the best of both worlds. I want a white that puts down a super smooth matte finish, and it really mats down the fibres. HSA white.
I describe HSA white. I describe it as retail quality.
I think that's it, yeah.
And I think that's the best description I can think of, because we're so used to seeing this white in the shops, and then we basically go back to our print shop and go, hang on, why don't my white look like the white that somebody prints in Primark? Why does mine not look worse than that? That whole T-shirt in Primark were £3 printed.
Yeah.
And I can't buy the shirt for £3, let alone print it at that quality. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And most of the time it's this retail quality white, multiple prints. That's the key, because they're produced where labour's cheap, like Leicester.
Oh dear. Yeah, so I'm having a compromise. I mean, I've found myself having switched to 100% plastisol, even though it's been a relief to print-wise, practically. I mean, I can throw a job up on press, and I can come do a podcast with you, and pick it up exactly where I left off, no problem.
Yeah.
As soon as I introduce water-based back in, that goes out that window. I have to plan my jobs around everything else. Once I start printing, I will have to just crack on and stop when the job's done. But I'm just missing that. I'm just missing that. Just white. I'm just missing the feel of white HSA. Yeah. And I found myself in this period of time cheating every now and again. And I'll print a job all plastisol, and at the end of it, I'll go give it one last hit with a heat press, just to smooth it down ever so slightly, which is a little bit. You're not really supposed to admit to something like that because it's just a blatant cheat. But I found myself doing that.
Cheat, yeah.
It's a small cheat, but it's an expensive cheat. Electrics are expensive at the moment, and all that says to me is there's something wrong in the preparation.
In the process somewhere,
yeah. And you're just introducing an extra step, making the job a lot longer, reducing the profit available in that job. And I was just thinking, do you know what? Maybe water-based isn't so bad after all. Moral of the story: don't listen to Danny. He talks shit for 11 episodes.
Well, all I can think of is I had a list of sponsors possible, and you just keep fucking deleting them every time you speak.
Fuck.
So they're out the window.
Their underbase, their dye blocker is fantastic. I won't knock that. That's the business, that stuff. I want to tell Colour Press. You brought that up like 30 seconds ago. What? I'm having regrets. You mentioned you went to a shop with 2 12-colour presses.
Yeah.
I'm having regrets buying a 6-colour. I keep more and more often finding myself wanting more colours, needing more colours.
Yeah.
Which I never used to have, but this year in particular, I'm getting emails and I'm sending the artwork to his old mucker John, and he's going back and saying, "I'm sorry, Danny, you can't do this in 6-colour." More and more, and it's only happened this year.
You can do it in 6-colour, but I need a base.
This is it. Yeah,
I need a 7. Yeah,
and you're quite often cutting out the highlight as well just to make it work. So you flash printing your base, which is definitely not ideal at all. No. Really, you want a underbase and then a highlight white at the end that run, just to make it work. So yeah, I'm beginning to wish I'd got a 12 colour sidewinder or something like that. But then in hindsight, also, I could buy a bleeding auto for that. Price of one of them. So you know.
Yeah, it's a question I get asked a lot. Number one, should I buy a new press? Number two, what layout should it be? How many colours? And it's a difficult one. I can name two examples of where I've been asked this question, and the first thing I do is go get me some data. What do you mean? Well, your opinion, your idea of how many colours is in your average job is probably skewed from what you actually do. And one particular really large company up in the northeast, one of their machines, their 6-colour machine, had broke, and the print operator was like, "Oh, well, we need a 1412."
Right.
I'm like, okay, why? Oh, we need to be able to do these bigger colour jobs. Well, do you get asked for these bigger colour jobs? Well, we can't do them at the minute. That's not what I said. Do you get asked for them?
Yeah.
Well, I've got one particular customer, and he wants 12 colours. So that's one. And what will he do? 150, 200 shirts a year? Yeah. So do you really need this
Is
big
it
press?
really worth? Yeah.
When we sat down and do the number crunching, the average print is 2.5 screens.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, it begs the question, why do you want a big press? Is it kudos? Is it look at what I can do, but I can't make money at? Maybe 60% of the work is white flash white.
Yeah.
And so just buy a little press with 6 colours and have that as your white flash white job.
I do have that big sniffle. It's usually me sniffing.
Yeah, dog sneeze.
Yeah.
I knew this was a mistake.
Fucking sneezing and sniffing.
I knew it was a mistake. So we're quite early in the morning when we're doing this, which is a bit not normal, and I've not had a chance to exercise the pooch. Can't say the words out loud because the bleeding thing.
Because it'll be off.
So he sort of like sat looking at me like, "Have you finished talking to that stupid box?"
Yeah.
There's nobody else here, and I haven't heard you show up yet. What's going on?
Yeah, bless them. I think I think I could get away with an 8 colour, and I would say so. On your point, do you need more colours,
or is it just for your own ego?
I think I need 8 colours.
Yeah,
I would like 12. Because I think if you're going to get an 8 colour press, by the time you've done, you might as well just get yourself a 12 colour sidewinder, and it's my forever press. Just keep it.
Forever press?
Yeah.
No, that's not your forever press. A manual would never be your forever press. But I think
a manual can't break. I mean, it can break, but it's like it's mechanical.
Yeah, it's about.
You could keep a manual forever, couldn't you? You could keep a manual forever, but an auto at some point. Can you keep an auto forever?
I came across one that was probably 92.
All right.
And
it's not bad,
auto reg. So, the auto digital reg, black and gold. So before the machines were blue, it's an old MHM in Leicester.
I was about to say, yeah.
And
I'm not surprised by that, to be fair.
Still ticking away. So can you keep them forever? Absolutely, you can keep them forever. If you look after them.
If you look after them, but at a certain point, you're probably going to go, it'd be more beneficial to just get a new press.
No, I'm going to say no. The only time I've seen this is sort of about 10 years ago, maybe 15. The technology moved so fast, and we went from buttons to touchscreen, then touchscreen to tablet.
Yeah.
So that bit in the middle where we were moving from tablet to touchscreen, it moved so fast that just the interface technology became outdated within like 18 months. Yeah. And then if it did by any chance break, you couldn't buy a replacement because the technology had moved on 2 steps by now.
Yeah.
So that's the only time I've really ever seen the need to buy a new press was when the control technology just evolved, because it used to be like logic boards and relay switches. and then we went to semiconductors, then we went to processors, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's just an app now. So the whole thing that controls the MHM system is just an app that you download from the App Store.
Right.
It's not a logic board printed onto a touch screen. It's a Samsung tablet that you just download an app on.
Yeah.
So that's pretty future proof now.
Yeah.
So, but before that, it was a logic board welded to the back of a touch screen that had 25 buttons on it. I mean, some of the old M&Rs, if you've ever seen them, they have these toggle switches on.
Yeah.
Turning heads on and off like that.
Yeah.
Like playing an old organ. But so until when the technology moves so fast, that's the only time really you look at moving a press. I went in the shop. I was down at a shop in Florida, right? They put the machines in 3 years ago, and they also took delivery of a new press at the same time. Looking at the brand new press and looking at the presses that have been in there 3 years, there is zero difference because they look after their presses really well. So it still looks like a new press now 3 years later. I go in some places and within 3 months, it looks like this thing's been here since the dawn of time. And you have to scrape big lumps of plastic all off. So it's all about it's a culture. I'm gonna disappear off on a tangent. You might have to drag me back. I go in so many different shops and I see the ones that are. This was a question I got asked for Images magazine as well. In that, what makes a print shop outstanding? What makes a print shop good?
Yeah.
And it's the culture that's usually driven from the top, but sometimes driven from the top middle as well. In that, it's the spilt ink or broken windows policy. If you spill a little bit of ink, when do you clean it up?
There and then.
So if you clean it up there and then, the chances are your shop's nice and clean, we're all organised, nobody's wading around in knee-deep in plastisol.
Yeah.
If we think I'll get that later because I'm too busy printing shirts, then we start to get a build-up and a build-up and a build-up.
Yeah.
So for me, it's almost that defining factor of when do you clean up the ink that you've spilt.
Yeah, I like that.
If we clean as we go, which is the old kitchen mentality.
Yeah.
If you ever see a chef or where somebody works in the kitchen, they don't have a mass cleanup at the end. They clean as they go.
Yeah.
Clean as you go, clean as you go, clean as you go, clean as you go. And then a big deep clean sometimes. But it's a very similar thing. I go to shops that are too busy to clean.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of this 50,000 print run. So when this is done, then I'll clean up. But while I'm doing it, I'm going to be knee-deep in fluff. I'm going to be knee-deep in the same 3 colours on this job. And you've got to excuse me, but I'm busy.
Do you agree with that, though? Do you think that's just an excuse? Do you think they are genuinely too busy? Or do you think, no, you're just talking shit, just clean up as you go? I would be more inclined for the latter. But then again, I'm of the other
camp. No, I'm of the other camp.
So you agree then?
I'm messy.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, I'm of the other camp that production is priority over everything. And I used to say that a dirty print shop is a busy print shop.
I would agree to an extent, but I still think clean as you go.
Yeah, if you don't, you're in trouble. But I've been in places where it's just so goddamn chaotic that cleaning's really low down on the list. Yeah. And I've been in shops that have a look around and go, are you making any money? I mean, it looks nice and everything, but I haven't seen it print anything yet.
Yeah, I mean, I should probably say it's easy for me to sit here and say this in my tiny little shop, in the grand scheme of things, that, does nothing in comparison to most people who are probably listening. For me to say I can clean as I go. But in the same breath as well, I clean as I go to an extent. If you actually zoom in on my floor, it needs a good scrub. And, so it's easy for me to say, but
the big difference is, Danny, it's yours.
That is, well, yeah. 100%.
This is the big difference. It's yours. So if I often say this, sometimes a press, one of the big presses, is around about the same price as a new Ferrari.
I know, yeah.
So
definitely.
If I bought you a Ferrari, you would clean and polish it every day.
Yeah.
But if I bought someone else a Ferrari, then and you go to it 3 weeks later and it's got sweet wrappers on floor and there's crisp ground into carpet and there's dirty finger marks and dog nose art on inside that window, and you'd be like, hang on, this thing cost 150 grand.
They have been brought up badly.
We go and see their mums right now.
We'll have a strong word with their parents. Was you born
Where's
in
your mum? Yeah, where's your mum?
No,
so, yeah,
that does make a difference.
It
Jasmine
does.
and Jade are not as thorough as I am.
Because it's not theirs.
No, definitely not.
And even though the family and you love them to bits, there's still, it's not theirs. They didn't put the money into it. They're not stayed laid awake at night thinking, if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to go sell my body on Crack Alley.
Yeah. Have to flog a kidney.
That wasn't the body part I was thinking about flogging, but yeah, you're right.
Oh, right, yeah, right. I'm with you. Yeah. I have to get them red bulbs out.
Yeah, out your dark room. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I totally agree. So yeah, it's easy enough for me to say, but keep it as clean as you possibly can, I guess. But there's probably a limit,
There's a point where
you can't stop production.
Yeah, there's a point where it becomes counterproductive because everything's so messy and goddamn dirty, and you can't touch anything, you can't drop anything, you can't actually produce efficiently because it's so dirty. So it's a
well, yeah, there is.
I'm by no way means a clean freak. I am not that person at all. And if you get me on a press, if you follow me on a press, you'd be like, "Who the fuck's done this?" Right, first thing we got to do is clean up after Tony.
You do see some shops, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a few that spring to mind, and they're on Instagram. It's there for everybody to see. They're filthy. And what bothers me more than anything is, all right, your shop's filthy. There's shit everywhere. It just looks a mess. But the worst bit is when you see the frames and the screens, and they are got old scraps of tape and ink stains everywhere and ghost images everywhere. And you're just like, frick it. Now, it's a bad look, first of all. But then again, do customers know any better? I don't know. No. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just think, well, it's an artistic process.
Shitty squeegees, that I found, that they're awful crap and caked up with all sorts of rubbish. But the end product is still selling for $80 in the sports shop.
Yeah. So I guess it's just individual. I can't work in that environment. I'm by no means an OCD clean freak, but I have to have a certain level of cleanliness.
I think the main difference I saw, I see the two camps, and one camp is it starts spotless, so it finishes spotless after every job.
Yeah.
When it's like that, my opinion, my view is that it's going to take shitloads of time. I'm going to spend more time cleaning up. But actually, it's self-fueling. Because it's so clean, it's easy to clean up. And you're not trying to clean somebody else's shit up. Because there's nothing worse. If you have two shifts, you have a day shift and a night shift.
And you turn up and somebody's left it a mess.
You turn up and I've got some pictures on my phones that are just horrendous of shifts that have just left. And they've got, let's say, 60 squeegees for what is a 20 squeegee shop. And all 60 are dirty and they've left them all dirty and just gone home. I'm like, I can't believe you'd do that. No. And same with, everything you touch on a press, covered in plasters all. Like, why do you do that? I were busy.
I hate that.
And now I have to not be busy and clean up your shit. And eventually, the day shift I'm not cleaning that shit up, I just put some gloves on.
Yeah.
And you end up putting gloves on because it's dirty. Go on, that leads you onto... Did I lead you onto a tangent? Bloody hell, fire.
Me onto a tangent.
It's almost like we planned this.
Oh, we're gonna save this till the next episode, so I could do a show and tell. But I'm gonna tell you my plans, and then next episode I'll show you.
Okay.
So I've come up with a solution, because if there's one thing that pisses me off in this shop, it's the ink station. Yeah. And the main problem is, so you've got your buckets of ink for mixing your colours. Yeah. The first thing you do is grab your bucket off a shelf. Oh, and I've got ink on my hands. Right, now I need to take the lid off. Oh, I've got more ink on my hands. well, I'm going to wipe it all the time. I'm going to constantly wipe it, constantly. Every single time you touch from it, you look at your hands and you wipe it. And then you mix your inks and you're spending ages. And then you get your lid and you put it back on. And putting the lid back on, you've got ink around the edges of the bucket. And then you pick it up and you put it on the shelf. And you've got more ink on your hands. And you wipe it off. Anyway, so I have come up with a solution to this issue. Okay. I'm going to build an ink rack. Yeah. And the ink rack, rather than a standard shelf, which is flat, and you chuck your buckets on, and then you pick them off when you go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sit the buckets into this shelf at an angle. Leave the lids off. Now, I've got a solution to this. Don't worry. This is going somewhere. And I'm going to label every single bucket. So in front of my ink station, there's going to be all of my mixing colours already open, and it's going to have a label beneath each one. So if I need rubine red, I can literally dip my knife in, get a bit, put it into my ink pot, and then I'm going to scrape the excess back in. Job done. I'm not going to touch a single pot of ink because I can just lean in, grab it. Now, your reaction is, what do you mean you're going to leave the lids off? I'm going to make a clear Perspex screen door on hinges that's going to lift up and lock in place. So when I'm using my ink, they're open. And then when I'm done, I'm going to shut the Perspex screen down, and that's going to keep them sealed. So there's no dust contaminants. It just keeps them sealed. That's my solution. Okay. I've got a new whiteboard here. I'm just drawing it on. And this time next week, I'll show you it.
Okay. It already exists. I've seen these out in the wild.
God damn it. I thought that was a new one.
No, I wanted to let you go as far as possible. No, they already exist. The ones on an angle on a shelf are the best ones.
Yeah, because you can just lean in then.
Imagine a circular table with the cutouts.
Right.
With those circular tables, you drop the bucket.
Each pot sits inside.
So to reach it, you just spin the table. It's like on a carousel.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So to get to the yellow at the back, you spin the table around.
Spin it to where you want.
I think that was a Rutland product.
That's a fantastic
last
idea.
Last time I was in Mexico, I saw that.
I think if you've got space for it, that's a great idea.
Yeah, a lovely little mixing table. That.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does exist. The ones on an angle, facing towards you with a cutout for the bucket. Drop the bucket in. Yeah. Not seen the Perspex lid. Gotta admit, not seen the Perspex lid.
No, well, that was my solution to taking lids on and off. My original idea was, so if you go to a kitchen shop and you buy a load of kitchen drawer handles, was to screw a handle to every single ink pot. So then you're touching the handle. You're not picking the sides of the lids. You're not peeling them back. You just drop the lid on and off.
No,
and that was my original solution. That's an idea, but I thought, you know what, I can do better than this. I think if you're going with my solution of a shelf with angles and stuff like that, just build a lid. But if you want to stay with your ink pots, have a little handle on top, and then you don't have to peel them off. To further modify that, get some coat hangers, wire coat hangers, drill 2 holes into the sides of your pots, thread your coat hanger through. So instead of scraping your palette knife onto the ink pot,
I've seen this
scrape it on the wire
and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen elastic bands, but I think this is I think if you use a coat hanger, you're less chance of it coming off or flinging at your face, or you know what I mean.
I think what I'd do, your plastic lid, your acrylic lid.
Yeah,
you hit your hinge at the top. No,
all right, yeah.
I'd actually screw the bucket lids to that.
Oh, great idea.
So when you dropped it down, the real lid came down.
Sits back on top. Never thought of that. That's a good one. So yeah, this time next week
you'll see something along. If the guy from Action Engineering's watching, we're screwed.
Fuck yeah. I patented it. Chippy Tea ink station. To store all your Chippy Tea LED inks. That shit don't ever go off. So what you need to store that station in a UV safe room.
Black acrylic lid.
Yeah. So that's my DIY project for next week.
What else have we got? Did you get any questions? No.
My sister said, house Tony's back after falling off his chair. That was literally
it. have you noticed that I've actually sat on the sofa this time? I'm not falling off this fucker.
No risk.
This is the first time I've been home for last 4 weeks. So I've been doing my tour of the States and then back off again. So yeah, sit on the sofa this time and do it.
Have you got to work in between? Have you got jobs on this week?
Yes. So I've only just got back from Luton. So I've been in Luton for 2 days as soon as I got back. Doing a long-standing appointment down there, which is it's a good one because we're sort of like in the development stage now, trying to develop the team technically. They're advanced. They can do water-based. They get lovely, bright, clean prints. And now we're in the team building stage, which is always really exciting because as much as we talk about the hard, solid screens, ink, squeegees, a lot of this industry is based around what I call the squishy things. The squishy things are the people, and the squishy things are the hardest things to control and build and make. We're at the shitty end of the labour market. We don't pay very well. The conditions are not fantastic. Nobody wants to live in where the screen goblin works. And on all these sort of all these factors make up the fact that actually it's not that great a job. It doesn't pay very well. It stinks. I've got green bogies up my nose for days after we've been printing green sweatshirts. And now sort of like I'm left with the fact that what's good about this job? So it's up to us to build a culture. You were on about the culture before. Build a culture that's not bullying and not all production based and not burnout based. That we can actually develop people into being, number one, good printers and operators, and number two, good people. So that's where I am now. I'm in the middle of this project where we're trying to bring people up and encourage and develop their skills, not just in pushing ink through holes, but also in building teams.
Our industry, I don't know if it's just biased because I'm in this industry, but our industry, I feel like we're quite good at that. I feel like if you look at a lot of print shops, and maybe it's just down to maybe it's just naturally because the people who typically end up running screen print shops, we're all mavericks, as you would like to say.
There's a lot of creatives in this industry, but unfortunately, we need a lot of production-based thinking people as well, because it is a production task. And you usually find people that are creative. I find a lot of ex-chefs in this industry, people who've worked in kitchens before. I don't know what the link is, but it must.
I can imagine they find it a doddle in comparison.
Yeah, it's this link of using the creative side of your brain to achieve and create a design or a print. But then you've got to really switch to the right-hand side of the brain, which is the logic of screwing lids on toothpaste in the most efficient way. And doing this every day, but then applying it to what is really a creative process. And I mean, I'm 30 odd years in, and I'm still fascinated by it. So it can't be that bad.
No. It's interesting actually. Someone once said to me, never. So when I got started in business, someone gave me a little bit of advice and said, say no to partners. No partners. It's just not worth the headache. But what you've just said there makes me think. I think I'm quite a creative person. The creative side of things, no bother.
Left side of the brain.
The logical business aspects, I am good at it, but it doesn't come naturally to me. Yeah. I am good at it because I've had to be, and I've learned and I've persisted, but it don't come naturally to me. And sometimes you think, if somebody could take care of that, leave me alone to come up with my projects, my ink shelves, to print my t-shirts and to enjoy it and to run all that, that would be a partnership that would be very effective. And I could take Flipping Sweet up to the next level. Which I'll never do because I'm a stubborn shit and I want to do it by myself. But you know what I'm saying?
It's the only ship guaranteed to sink, a partnership.
Yeah. It's not something that I won't say I don't work well with others, but history tells me I don't. So, so I wouldn't try it. But interestingly enough, here we go, another tangent. Somebody emailed us a couple of weeks ago, and I meant to bring it up last episode, but I just forgot. Someone offered to buy Flipping Sweet. Somebody offered to...
But is it a generic, hi, I've seen your business, can I buy it? Or is it... I always remember in the mid-90s there was a group called, I think it was Kingfisher Group, and they were actively emailing anybody who had any relation to print
whatsoever,
with a view to buying them. So it wasn't a, hey, I've watched your podcast, I think you're a dick, I'm going to take that business off you.
No,
it was a generic sort of mail shot on anybody to do with print. So what was yours?
I think it was more targeted. This fella from Hull, I did it right that time, from Hull, and he appears after doing a little research to have a number of numerous number of numerical sign and design shops. So, basically, we've got a lot of plotters. We've got lots of shops with lots of plotters and stuff like that. And he offered to buy Flipping Sweet. And basically have me be a part of a group.
Yeah.
I said no thanks. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. It was a compliment, if anything.
So, would you ever sell?
That's an hard question.
So I asked somebody this question right a long time ago, and they gave me the best answer ever. So much so it stuck in my head. And it was a small company that was getting more and more and more successful, and it was becoming obvious that this is now a viable, valuable business, growing and growing and growing. And I asked the question, when's enough? You know, at what point do you stop pushing and chasing? That, you know, you hit 1 million. Is that good? No, I want 2. You hit 2. Is that good? No, I want 4. Okay, so if we hit 10, is that enough? No, I want 20. And then came along the question that, okay, if some random investor from Hull came and knocked on your door and said, I want to buy your business, how much do you want for it? I said, I'd never sell. I said, come on, be real. Somebody comes along and offers you stupid money, like 10 million in cash and a free Renault Zoe.
Renault Zoe. Renault Zoe.
I'm trying to think of a smaller car. So, you know, at what point, what's the value? What's the magic number that you would sell for? If I said to you, somebody came along and said to you, right, Danny, I like your business. I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to open a franchise all over. I've got shitloads of money, and it doesn't have to be anything to do with you at all. Just sell me the whole concept, and I'm going to give you 5 million cash for it. Would you sell it?
It's difficult.
So do you know what answer I was given?
Go on. Yeah, go on. What did he say?
So I said, okay, well, if somebody comes to give you 10 million, no. 20 million, no. 50 million. Somebody comes and gives you 50 million. No. I said, all right, then so tell me, what's the number? How much? What's that magic figure that you'd sell for? And the best answer he gave me is, how much do you want for your daughter?
Yeah, fantastic answer.
And I just went like, what? How much for your daughter? She's not for sale. But there you go then. This is like one of my children. And therefore it's never for sale.
What a fantastic answer!
It stuck with me. It was a really, really good answer. And I didn't understand. I was going down the road of 50 million, 100 million, 20 million. What's the number? There must be a number where you'd go, yeah, I'm going to sell. And it just came down to, no, because this is part of me. And so I'd never sell it. There isn't a number.
I'd take a couple $100,000.
Yeah, I'd be looking for 20 quid in a Zoe.
Yeah, that Zoe definitely tips it. Wow, what a fantastic answer. And very relatable because I think as a self-employed person who has a business owner of some sort, I don't think people realise who are not, they don't realise how much of it is just my life. It just is me. There's no separation. This business is everything I've built, and it means everything to me to see it over the line to a certain level of success. That gives me
which is exactly how I describe my daughter.
It's exactly, yeah. Getting an auto is exactly like you watching your daughter walking her down aisle.
Yeah,
me getting an auto, I'll have that exact same feeling. I'll try my eyes out. So, will I sell my business? No. There are caveats to that, though, because you can sell a business and they can only tell you not to be a screen printer for so long. I'll just go call it.
With the money, you just open up an auto shop.
Yeah, good idea. The only other thing I would have done, so I think I'm too old to start from scratch. I could have gone down the route of doing something with timber and wood, creative, making things, maybe furniture, something like a creative business, building things out of furniture and salvaging and stuff like that. That was something that it could have gone two ways. I could have become a printer, or I could have had a workshop full of miter saws and tools and stuff like that, and I could have spent my day covered in sawdust instead of ink. And I would have put equal amounts of passion in both. And whichever one came first, if you'd have asked me in 10 years' time, I think I would have told you the same answer. I'll never give up on this project. I'd have put the exact same into it. But it just so happened I went into printing route. So if somebody came along and said, right, Danny, here's a cup of mill, bugger off, don't touch a squeegee ever again.
Be a wood butcher.
I'd be a wood butcher, maybe. But like you said, it'd be very hard to give up on something that I put 10 years of my life into this.
Yeah.
And if I never see success out of it, I'll probably put the rest of my life into it, because I'll never stop striving towards making a successful business out of it. So,
see, that was the question. At what point is it successful enough for you to stop pushing?
For me, it has to be. So there's a point where this business allows me to have some of it's financial. So I want to be able to go out, buy an house in a nice out at way area. I want to be a little bit out at way. I just want to get a crackhead alley, go up road 5 minutes to Driffield.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. I want a modest little house, modest little life that doesn't involve slaving away in here 7 days a week, and I just want to build a business that pays for me to have a more normal life. That's all.
A better work-life balance. Yeah.
A better work-life balance, and be able to afford the things that you're supposed to when you're an adult.
You'd have to go out your way and find friends then, all that stuff, wouldn't you?
Oh no, well I wouldn't do that. I'd just sit in my garden, wouldn't I, in Driffield?
Watch it world go by.
Oh, I'd go fishing. That's what I do. I go fishing on my own.
Go fishing, yeah.
Oh, that'd be lovely. But yeah, we'll keep working towards it. We'll get there eventually. It'll all come. Definitely. What about you? When you grow older, what do you want to be?
I'm already fucking there. I still. So I've done. I describe it as 30 years at the coalface. So I've done my hard graft in crappy print shops. I've sacrificed family events to print somebody else's t-shirts.
Yeah.
And now, when I meet people and I tell them what I do, they look at me strange. They go, "Really? What a great job!"
Yeah.
And I have to stop and think. Yeah, I think it is. It ain't all rainbows and unicorns. Sometimes it's airport, hotel, chemical factory, hotel, airport.
2 day delays.
2 days sat in an airport. You tell people, I've been to Florida. Were it good? No, it was shit. Because I was sat watching the rain for 2 days thinking, when will my plane leave? So it's quite a unique opportunity that I have when I tell people that I travel around the world helping people print T-shirts. Really? Is that a job? Yeah, it's great.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So for me, mine's difficult. I can't grow the business because it revolves around me. I don't have anybody else that I can train up to be me.
No.
So it's not really scalable in my business. So if I can get my business to the point where it gives me that chance to go fishing in Driffield, then that's probably it.
Yeah.
It's either that or, do you know, I have actually thought recently, and I don't know why recently. I think it's because I go to so many print shops. And I go to so many print shops that I'm pretty sure they won't be listening. I go to so many print shops that are doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong, but they're successful. And I can't help but think, maybe I should be doing this in a print shop.
If I do it right, how can it not fail?
Yeah. And I look at them, and I'm very fortunate in that I get to touch every aspect of a print shop. So I might be catching shirts on the end of the dryer. I might be in the screen room. I might be deep with the screen goblin trying to scrub something dubious off a screen. But I'm also sat with the owner going through the expenditure and the budget and seeing, you know, exactly where the money is going, which gives me an insight into, shit, there's some money to be made in T-shirts. If we do this right, could this be a better use of my time than flying around the world just talking shit to people? And I have seriously sort of like looked at this and gone, if I do that and I do that and I do that, I could produce really good quality prints. Probably got enough of a reputation to be able to get work, but then it doesn't matter how good a product you build, make, create. You have to sell it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not really a salesperson.
No, I always used to use, at a certain point in my 10-year career, I used the analogy, you know what, it's time to just say, look after the print, make the print as best as you possibly can, focus on that, and the rest will come. The business will look after itself because your reputation, you know what I mean? But that's a lovely, simplistic way to look at things. It's just not true.
In the real world, you end up producing fantastic prints that nobody sees.
Nobody wants to bleed in buy or see. Yeah.
Well, if they don't see it, they don't want to buy it. So it's all about, you know, getting that print in front of people and showing them. Yeah. Which then means you start going down the production route rather than the artistic creative route, and you know, we're back again with left side, right side of the brain.
You end up. What did I say last week? Something about I'd rather be a master of one craft rather than half-assed at everything else. But honestly, I think to make this business work, I probably do have to be not 100% at one thing. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. If I put all my eggs in just printing what I want to print, taking my time, making it look exactly as I want, everything falls behind. So you almost have to distribute it into printing, production, marketing. You have to spread your eggs out across all aspects of the business until you can say, right, I've got a production man. Stand on that. Maybe it's me. Right, all I do is stand on that press. Job done.
This is where I was marketing guy. Yeah. You have to delegate. The secret is delegation. Surround yourself with people who are better at tasks than you are.
Definitely, 100%.
So set somebody on,
which is very hard to do.
Well, if you find a printer and you say, you know, if you find somebody that's a better printer than you, set him on, employ him, and then you can apply your tasks somewhere else. If you find somebody that's better at accountancy and bookkeeping than you are, set them on. And then you can concentrate on the stuff that you are good at. I'm not sure what that is, but, you know.
Just about everything. Yeah, well.
Am I a generation out here? Why aren't we multimillionaires just from doing this little podcast now? What am I missing?
We're just not that cool. That's probably what it is.
I am. I don't know about you, but I am.
Yeah, you've got it nailed. Falling off your chair. You've cracked it, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. I need my dog sneezes. Yeah. So, Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to know. I mean, we both know someone who basically has turned the back on commercial printing to be a social media star because it either makes more money or it's more appealing to them to not push a squeegee all day long. Push, yeah. To not push a squeegee all day long. Shut the door to the annoying people that keep coming and want to spend money with you, and actually put yourself on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, do podcasts, and put as much effort as you were putting into printing T-shirts into creating content about printing T-shirts, even though you no longer print T-shirts apart from yourself, just for your own brand, for yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the right choice. Maybe there's more money to be made like that. But
it's individual needs, isn't it? Whatever makes you happy, go do it. And if you can find a way to make money out of doing it, then that's better still. If you're an egomaniac, become a YouTube star. But printing T-shirts makes me happy. Just that whole thing makes me happy. So the podcast is fantastic, but I won't become a YouTuber anytime soon. That's for sure. This is enough.
No, this is enough for me.
You've just got to whatever makes you happy, whatever gets you excited to get out of bed and just get to work early.
Yeah,
whatever that is, focus on that and become good at it and find a way to make money out of it. And
find something you would do for free, and then find a way to make money out of it.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That's the way to put it. Right, so you're in Mexico this coming week.
Yeah.
We'll do episode 13. That's unlucky. Episode 13 in Mexico. We'll talk shite for a bit. Episode 14, budget screen print shop special. So we did the £1 million special.
Okay.
This next one is a challenge between me and Tony to see who can come up with the cheapest starter print shop.
eBay.
And it has to be eBay only.
Right. Okay.
And you can't pull out old listings. It has to be like whatever's active there and then at the time.
Right. Okay. And a competition is who can do it for the least. Challenge accepted.
That's the deal.
Yeah. Right. So we'll wrap this episode up. That was episode 12.
13. Oh no, sorry, it was 12. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. 13's next week.
Episode 12. You have been listening to me, Tony Palmer from Palm Print, and
Danny D from Flipping Sweet.
Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you hear, it's really important that you press the like button, leave a comment, even if it's just to say hi, share with your friends, and try and get as many people involved as possible. We're up to about 25 people that watch it every week, so we're going to get to at least 26. It's all important. You can find us on YouTube, on Spotify, and that's about it. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you.
Ta for a bit.
Ta for a bit. See you later.
Right. How do I stop this movie? Stop.
I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a chippy